I always wanted one of these tiny librettos. When I saw one listed as untested, with a small amount of physical damage, but going cheap, I knew I had to take a chance. I spent some of my meagre income and ended up receiving this cool looking Japanese version of the Toshiba Libretto 50 CT. It arrived with no power supply and a very broken looking dock. I'm pretty happy with the condition of the unit, and it does have several cracks in the plastic, as is often the case with these old librettos, because the plastic becomes so brittle. And one of the worst parts of it is here, where the docking connector screwed into, and this has obviously had some severe physical damage. But I'm actually pretty happy with it. This is not too bad, all considered. I did get the docking unit with it as well, and it's a lot more damaged. I mean, the plastic is just so brittle that it just sort of comes off. It just sort of falls apart. So I'm pretty sure this will still work electrically, it just cosmetically looks terrible. But the unit itself, I'm actually pretty happy with it, especially when I open it up. It looks pretty immaculate and nice. Built for Windows 95. It's got a Pentium 75 inside there. I'm keen to find out more about this machine. I've heard many things about them, and it's time to find out what the Libretto is like. I didn't have the right connector to build a power supply, so I had to wait to find out if it even works. Eventually, I was able to get a connector, and I quickly hooked it up to a power supply and fired it up. I've made a proper power supply. There's the connector I bought, and that's looking pretty good. Now, the hard drive sounds a bit rough. There are some extra clicks going on, which sounds to me like the heads keep resetting. This indicates the drive is probably on its last legs and can fail at any time. And we can hear the standard clicking of this fairly loud hard drive, but there's a second click, a louder sort of regular click that's happening, which I don't think is normal. I think the heads are constantly returning to their home position and coming out again, some sort of alignment issue. I'm amazed this drive even works. It looks like it still has Windows 95 on it, so it's probably never been upgraded. And the screen looks great. Everything seems to work so far. I snapped this photo in time for the Retro Battle Stations contest. This is something I've always been keen to participate in, and I love it when a plan comes together. That hard drive though. Okay, we've got the Japanese version of Windows 95 on here. That hard drive clicking really concerns me. I will have to do something about that. One of the great things I've learned about librettos is the hard drive can be easily removed by simply taking off this small cover on the side. It even comes with a convenient handle for quick removal. I really like that. So I should be able to just take this off and we can have a look. Really nice little design where this handle comes out, and I can just sort of pull the hard drive out. And it looks like the original hard drive that came with this unit, 815 megabytes. I want to try replacing this drive with a compact flash card. I have previously tried booting from a compact flash card on other machines, but not had much luck. The way compact flash works means you might get some varied results depending on which card you've got. Since that first attempt, I've collected a few more cards. I'm determined to test them all and see if I can get one to work. I'm going to use one of these adapters, and this will adapt a compact flash card over to the same pin configuration as a hard drive. So I've got to find some way to get that in there. I've got several compact flash cards to try. I need to see which ones of those work with this adapter in this computer. I'm going to put this back in and we'll see what we can come up with. I'm using the Libretto with its dodgy hard drive to format and prepare the cards. Uh-oh, scan disk. Just going to exit scan disk. Yeah. Right on cue, the system stops booting. I probably shouldn't have skipped scan disk when it wanted to check the hard drive. I don't have a floppy drive or a CD drive that works with this Libretto, making booting and installing a new operating system kind of tricky. So it seems to have frozen trying to boot Windows 95 that time. It is a little bit concerning. Try booting again, see what happens. Oh, it doesn't seem to be booting anymore. Okay, well, it gives a beep and then it stops booting Windows 95. Something's gone wrong. Maybe I should have run ScanDisk. I was able to get ScanDisk started again, and this time I'm letting it run right through and hoping that it sorts the problem out. It takes ages, but finally it gets to the end. There were no errors reported, but after this, Windows 95 is booting again. Okay, well, Windows has seemed to have booted okay that time, so I'm not going to muck around, and I'm going to see if I can get a compact flash card to be bootable. So install the card and bring up a command prompt. I'm working my way through each card, formatting and installing MS-DOS. Okay, so that's the first card. I'm using the MS-DOS sys command to make each card bootable. It's all in Japanese, but I think I know what I'm doing. Card 2 and sys D. That keyboard, I'm still not used to it. Did that work? Okay, alright. Card, 4GB Samsung Extreme. So I've now got these 4 cards ready to go. But I also have another 4 cards. These are all the compact flash cards that I own. The capacity on these is a lot less. 512, 256, that's a 128 and a 16. But I want to just try them and see if I can get them to boot. Getting the hang of this now. Okay, it does need to install something for it. No worries. Final card is a Lexar 16MB. Not really enough for Windows 95, but I do want to know if it will boot. Okay, I've got the 4GB cards formatted with DOS on them. We'll see if those boot. I've got the 4 secondary cards, and while I'd prefer to have one of these working, it would be good to check these and know if they work. As an added bonus, I have 2 more cards that I want to see if they work. One is a 4GB micro drive, and even if that boots okay, I'm not really going to use a micro drive in this machine, but I'm curious to see if it works. The other card I've got is actually an adapter which adapts a SD card to compact flash. And I have no idea if something like this would work, but I do want to test it. I don't know what sort of circuitry is inside this thing. Okay, I now have all 10 test cards ready with DOS installed on them to see which ones, if any, can boot on this machine. Now, it's way too hard for me to install this, so I'm going to have to take the bottom off. I'll get out the protector mat. Right, first up, that's the battery. And we've got some screws here around the place. I'll pop those out. Let's see what we've got inside. Now I'm going to have to be extra careful because this plastic is so brittle that it can so easily break. So we've got the insides, compact flash slot and hard drive. Now this is keyed. With one of the pins there is blocked and one of the pins is missing on this connector, so it only goes in one way. It's so much quieter now because this computer doesn't have a fan at all for the CPU, so the only sound comes from the hard drive. So with a compact flash, first time. That's awesome. Okay. I wasn't expecting it to work just straight off the bat like that because compact flash cards often have so many compatibility issues with these old computers. That's awesome. Okay, well that's a bit broken, so I'll just take that out for now and keep testing. Okay, that one's a no, it doesn't work. So far I've got 2 good ones and 2 that don't boot. Next is the SanDisk 512. Alright, that's a yes. Okay, the tests are all done, and out of the 10 cards that I've tested, 7 cards didn't boot at all, but these 3 did. That really tells you that if you want to boot from compact flash on these old machines, there doesn't seem to be any consistency as to why some cards work and some don't. You just have to try them and find the ones that do. So these are my 3 that I'll set aside. I'll use this one in this machine, and these I'll keep, knowing that I can boot DOS and Windows 95 and 98 from them. I can now copy the Windows installer files onto the compact flash card using another computer. I put the Windows 95 install files onto this compact flash card using this USB to compact flash adapter. Very handy. Let's get the card in there. I'm pretty sure this is going to work, so I will reassemble now. How did it go again? Yep, it fell out. Alright, well let's see if I can get this together. I do have to be extra careful. All screws are in. Pop the battery back in. I haven't tested the battery, so I don't know if it holds any charge at all. Let's power it up and see what happens. Yep, we're booting. Okay. Now I've put the files that I need on here, some drivers, Windows 95, and I think if I just type setup, it should start the process. Yep, sure. I can now boot directly into MS-DOS, and from there start the Windows installation process using the setup command. Alright, thank you for that. Yes, I'm happy to have Windows 95. No, we don't want a startup disk because no floppy drive. That's not going to help. Alright, preparing to copy files. Let's let it go. It's been a long time since I've installed or even used Windows 95. I'm kind of mesmerized seeing this. Fantastic. We've got a new install of Windows 95. No. Alright, I'll shut down for now. The Brian Eno Windows 95 startup sound is magical. Yes, the same Brian Eno, famous for composing long-form ambient music. I really like his description of the process of creating this startup sound, where he says, "I thought this was so funny and an amazing thought to actually try and make a little piece of music. It's like making a tiny little jewel." This libretto is also like a tiny little jewel. With Windows 95, it looks amazing. It's like being transported away into a world of possibilities and imagination. It's even telling you that it all starts here. During this whole process, I also realized this particular libretto has 32 megabytes of RAM. These librettos only shipped with 16 megabytes. But there was a memory expansion board available, and it looks like this libretto was expanded at some point in the past. And from what I understand, they're actually quite rare. Now that's a score. Now the other thing I want to do is have a look at the expanded memory module. I've had a look at the instructions, and I have to lift up the keyboard. First is carefully lift up this, there we go, this plastic bar. It comes off pretty easily, revealing a hidden screw right here. It should just be a case of lifting up this keyboard very carefully. Okay. Right, that's the memory module here. And this, I'm just going to very carefully lift out this memory module. There we go. There's the memory expansion. And that looks like the original Toshiba memory expansion, because there were third-party ones available. That would have cost quite a bit back in the day when buying this libretto. But it's really nice to have 32 megabytes in this machine, especially with Windows 95. So screw back in and then just carefully fold that keyboard. The other thing I like about these early versions of Windows is that you can go back even further in time. You can exit Windows and just have the computer run on an MS-DOS command prompt. Now, one of the cool things about DOS-based Windows is that you can set it to simply start up in DOS mode. There it goes. And that's very useful if you just want to go straight into some DOS games. So there is a DOS game that I've installed, Descent. This game is from 1995. It's got a nice sci-fi intro, which is actually kind of long, so I'm just going to skip through it. So this game came out at the time when Doom was the biggest game in the world. Alright, controls. Right. Okay, let's go. Whoa. There's something behind me. Where are you? Here we go. I'm just going to fly away. I'm having a blast with this Libretto, this tiny little jewel of a machine. I'm so pleased to have Windows 95 back in my life. If you enjoy this, leave a like or a comment. Let's see where we go next. Thanks for watching.